Hello, welcome. This is Frankenstein Tea, a daily short story program for adult listeners. I am Kristen. I'm the director of the Island Free Library on Block Island. I'm in the library today. It is a good day to be inside a library. Soon you'll be welcome again inside this library, about another week or so. Let's hope. Jeepers, we just heard Narragansett schools just closed. So that's our closest neighbor. So let's see what happens next. But here I am today, ready to read you a story. I worked a little today. Monday is not a traditional work day for me, but I am working today. And I have like little decaf coffee with a teeny little smudge of hot chocolate, like a little homemade mocha. It's delicious. It's a nice little treat. And I have a good story. It's a short story, but I like it. I've read from this book before. This is called Summer Over Autumn. I read that title story to you once, Summer Over Autumn. It's a small book of small town life by Howard Mansfield. He was an author who came to the library once and did a program, and he did such a great program. We really, myself and the others in the audience, I think, from the feedback that I heard, really identified with him in this great little book, a small book of small town life. He's writing about New Hampshire with a town of about 1,500. We're probably going to be about a town of about 1,500 at this year's census. I bet. Maybe not quite 15, but maybe like up a couple hundred, right? 1,200 maybe this year. So anyway, he spoke of these really small town idiosyncrasies that really were very normal for us and very relatable and very understandable. And we could grasp them and feel them and experience them with him in our way. So he was a great, great event. And we'd love to have him back. Howard Mansfield, if you ever come across me reading your stories, know that I do it to turn people on to this great little book that you donated to our library, and hope that you'll come back again. So this is published probably locally there, Bauhan Publishing, Peterborough, New Hampshire, 2017, by Howard Mansfield. Summer Over Autumn, a small book of small town life. And I'm going to read something fun today. He read this at the event. I'm going to reread it for you today. I hope you enjoy. Let me have one more sip of my homemade mocha because it won't be warm when I'm done. It might be warm. This isn't a long story. Okay. My winter in politics. For one winter, I was a politician. My blind ambition was to capture one of the glittering prizes of the Republic, to be part of the power and the glory. I was running for library trustee in a town of 1,500. Candidates almost always run unopposed for these positions throughout New England. The election is a formality, or so I was assured when I was asked to serve. I hadn't campaigned for office since a closely contested junior high school race for homeroom rep. I lost, and I wasn't about to start. After I had filed to run, an opponent came forward to stop what some old-timers saw as insurgency of young know-nothings. I was caught up in what the local press pronounced a heated race. "You have an opponent?" asked a friend who lives in the city. "You have long winters up there." I was hoping to acquit myself with a respectable loss. My opponent had lived in town since the year 1 and had served on enough committees to merit the Legion d'Honneur. I had already been dismissed from the campaign by my opponent's friend, who had put him up to this. "Nothing personal," he said. "You're a young man. Your day will come." I politely thanked him for calling and wisely left much unsaid. The campaign was fought over that hot button issue, children's story hour. The elementary school up the street sent all students to the library to take out books. The younger students were read stories. My opponent was against children's story hour. At least he had said something that was reported that way all over town. He had managed to manufacture controversy. Part of the electorate was up in arms. As each report came back to me, I silently displayed shock and dismay. My eyebrows raised, my jaw dropped. Each time I received the news as if it was fresh, but never did I join in. So when I'd get my mail in town, there was scarcely a day when I wasn't stopped by someone who would say indignantly, "Did you hear what he said?" I'd shake my head no. "He's against children's story hour." Horror, sheer abject horror would show on my face. "Oh, imperiled ship of state," my face would say. I have expressive eyebrows. It doesn't take a beltway pollster to tell you that attacking children's story hour is going to pull high negative numbers. Good night, moon. Good night, candidate. For the record, as it was reported to me, he didn't say he was against story hour, only that it was useless. At least the kids get some fresh air walking up the street, is what he may have said. I never said one bad word about my opponent. In fact, I never said anything about him, a sure way to avoid being misquoted. As his statements piled up, I quietly staked out the high ground and hid. My opponent was doing just fine for the both of us. I avoided the village store. Anything said at the meat counter is as good as published. I wasn't running for office. In the British tradition, I stood for election. It would have been easy for my opponent to cast me as a young flatlander charging in here to run their lives. This is sometimes stated as, these flatlanders come up here and think they have to tell us when to come in out of the rain. I'd lived in New Hampshire 8 years at the time, and while I did wonder why so many people were soaking wet, that was their business. He soon topped himself. When he was asked why he wanted to be a trustee, he said, to keep an eye on the girls at the library, meaning the librarians and the other trustees. I could have mapped the root of that comment as it made a lightning circuit around town. He pushed the button of many forthright, independent, hardworking women. Bless him. He was my campaign's best asset. People in town rallied. They wrote letters to the newspaper, made phone calls. They circulated an election eve postcard in my support. Alas, it was printed in red ink, but no one but me was appalled at that symbolism. The less I said, the better things went. If I won, I would top William McKinley's front porch campaign of 1896. His opponent, William Jennings Bryan, pounded across the country, logging thousands of hard railroad miles. McKinley stayed home. He stood by his ill wife, speaking to visitors from his front porch. My opponent was campaigning hard, calling everyone in town like some fool flatlander who thinks he has to tell people when to come in out of the rain. I was urged to make myself better known, to call people, to have little teas, but I stuck by the lessons of 1896. The polling data, such as it was in a small town, was looking favorable. The library volunteers were mine. I detected erosion in the support at the Historical Society. The Women's Club and the fire department were showing signs of strong support. The all-important meat counter poll showed me winning an upset victory, as did the checkout counter up front. I was even further ahead in the post office poll. Never mind that these polls count the same few people over and over. I won, trouncing my opponent by a margin of nearly 3-1. 327 enlightened citizens to 140 benighted. The world was made safe for Children's Story Hour. The country went on to 7 years of unprecedented economic expansion. And you can thank one small town library trustee who had the courage to stand up and keep his mouth shut. That was My Winter in Politics by Howard Mansfield. Great little story. I think I read you the one about the clock, right? The town clock. And maybe the one about his tractor too, right? Oh, I read this one too. Small Towns, Large Questions. Yeah, this is a great little book. Come check this one out. This is fun. You'll like this. Trying to see if there's like a short 2-pager I could read real quick. Maybe another day. Oh, Mending Fences, I read. Summer Over Autumn, I read. That's a great one. Yeah, great little book. I think we've read a few from here. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Stay warm, stay cozy. Hi, Dad. Breathe deep. Eat vegetables. Sleep well. Cozy up. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Bye.